Welcome into Clark After Dark here, episode number 56. I think we're on number 56. We're on episode Tony Jackson Jr. here tonight, baby. How do you like me now? Maybe a good old Scotty Hushelpick, if you will, in car number 56, back in the good old factory stock of the modified days. He also drove a number 33, but we're going to go with 56 Scotty Hushelpick tonight as we kick off this episode of Clark After Dark live and direct on RaceON.com. After the biggest race in the history in the state of Louisiana this past weekend, on the other side of this desk, or on the other side of the, wherever you want to follow it out there, Alexandria, Louisiana's Cortland Smith on the other side right here, right now, baby. Hey, man, I'm fired up. You know, I don't think you even knew I was this fired up because I just kind of turned it up as soon as we turned these mics on, boy. I just got to thinking about that race at Boothill Speedway this weekend. And, dude, hey, I just got fired up all over again. Like, if I could go to bed tomorrow and wake up and head back to Boothill Speedway and relive what we just experienced last Friday and Saturday night all over again, sign me up 10 times over, buddy. What a weekend we had. We'll get further into it. But, man, just off the cuff, like, what a weekend we had, right? And how was your weekend aside from that? I know you didn't make it on there on Friday.
Yep, couldn't make it on Friday, but we won the football game Friday night. And when you roll into Boothill Speedway and you get a performance that you got out of the racetrack, out of the race car drivers and everybody and all the fans showing out, dude, like you said, give me this weekend 100 times over. I wish we could do it every single weekend from here on out. And Cortland Smith will never lose this smile ever again, my friend. I'm telling you, it was a phenomenal weekend from all the way from the very first green flag all the way to the finish, man. Like you said, we'll dive into it deeper, but dude, did Boothill Speedway, did the great Arklatex race fans, did the great Arklatex racers in the support classes, everybody showed up and showed out. And this is why we needed an event like this. We knew the Arklatex region could do it. And boy, do I think we have a staple of the Bayou Dirt Classic, and we got something to build on, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Ryan Gustin did confirm with me he wanted to be a guest on the podcast tonight. We were attempting to have him tonight, and he was out there hanging out with us till like 4 a.m. Saturday night after the race. Is $50,000 richer and all. But Ryan texted with him earlier today. Man, they're traveling to Eldora right now. He's just in a tough spot. I mean, they're traveling through BFE in certain areas, so the time it just didn't match up tonight for him to come on. But he said he'd love to come on in the future, and we look forward to having more guests and so on in the future. So, man, we'll get to the winners and all that so forth. We'll kick it off. We'll start off with Friday. But before we get really into the deep dive on what happened at the racetrack and how great it was and everything, when you know the World of Outlaws are on a calendar an entire year in advance after what we had last year, Cortland, you're thinking to yourself, like, man, what's this going to be like this year? With 2 nights, you know, we saw how great it was last year. But, like, after they see it one time, and that's not something that this area gets to see all the time, you wonder what the result's going to be for the next time, like for the Friday night. Well, it turned out the crowd was really, really good on Friday. I mean, respectable on Friday. It wasn't as great as it was last year, obviously. I'd say probably 1,000 less people or 500 less on Friday night. But, man, it was still good. And then we get to Saturday, and people just start piling into this place. But, like, you think about it on behalf of Rollo Pilkington and Bubba Jones, who are taking a huge gamble. Like, honestly, dude, this is a huge risk to take as a track owner or a promoter to know what that purse is. That purse is upwards of $250,000. And you are relying solely on people putting asses in grandstands in order to make this thing work. And you can just hope to yourself that these people are big enough of late model fans that they will come back and support this, and that they did. Like, I think that to me, Cortland, that's the biggest home run out of all of this, is the fact that this event has already been announced for an entire year again in advance. We know that this race is happening again October 3rd and 4th, 2026. And, dude, I'm just so proud. Like, I had so much pride this weekend. No, I don't own Boothill Speedway, but, dude, I've been calling the races there for 18 years, and I love it. Like, I've been through that place, through the ups and the downs. Man, I started announcing at this track when it was still a 7/16 oval, when it was the long straightaway paperclip. And, you know, and Jim Burford reshortened it back in May 28, 2010 was the first race. I've seen this place go through with probably 7 or 8 different promoters. And Rollo Pilkington and Bubba Jones, and I think I've said this on this podcast before, Cortland, this is what our sport needs in this area. And I know Remington Bud, and I know he's got help with Chris Allen and what they're doing over at Arklatex. They're trying to improve the place and make it better, where we have 2 premier racetracks in our region. And that's truly awesome to have. But what Rollo and Bubba have done, like, they know they have to think outside of the box. We also want our stands packed on weekly racing too. But, man, as far as I'm concerned, we hit a home run this weekend. We'll get further into the racing. But, dude, when you see a crowd like that come back for the 2nd consecutive year, it really gives you hope that we can do it now again for the 3rd year. But it's always a risk and it's always a gamble. But on top of how many people are there, dude, Roxy Dancy was there. A long time. He owned Boothill for a few years, was the voice of Boothill, was the voice of the Super Late Model Series for a few years. Tom Michaels was there. He was the voice of Boothill Speedway for over 15 years. I found him out. Like everything just felt right in the world on Saturday night. Former voices of the Speedway were there. It was just like I can't really quantify or articulate exactly how I feel about it. But man, it was a beautiful night, wasn't it? Like it was just a beautiful, beautiful night, man. It really was. Like that's what you strive for. That's the goal. As soon as the checkered flag dropped on Saturday night, I literally ran down to the infield. Of course, Ashton Smythe with the World of Outlaws is conducting the post-race interview, so I don't have to worry about all that. So I take off running and just go and like hug Bubba and hug Rollo. I'm like, yeah, like I was fired up for him. Anyway, dude, that's honestly like that's what it's all about. Because like at the end of the day, we saw a badass race in front of a packed house. The electricity in the air, it was just special. It was a special, special night at the Boothill Speedway, man.
100%. Just like I said, this is, I feel as if, you do it once, you have the big bang, boom, it happened. All right. So we took the one night, we turned it into 2 nights. We're going to pay $50,000 and bang, did they show out again? This is, like I said, the staple that the Arklatex, I'm not saying needed, but I felt like deserved, and it's something that we can definitely grow on. And I 100% think that it's going to continue to grow. And this is going to be our end of the year thing for when I say down south, for the farther south, because let's just be real. I mean, they might go to Georgia and they'll go to Speed Weeks and they'll go to Tennessee, but man, them national late model tours really don't get, other than Batesville, they don't make it no farther south than Batesville, Arkansas. So to have that event come down here, man, and you got guys like Mike Marlar on a whim show up, Tyler Erb made sure to have it on his schedule. He could have easily, his shop is 20 minutes from Rossburg, Ohio. Like he could have just easily stayed up there, but no, the dude drove all the way down there to turn right around and go back up. And just all these different guys that showed up. Dude, we had 42 cars, man. And there's a lot of big paying races that are a lot closer to a lot more late models, and then they don't have near as many cars. And so it's just really, really special, man. It's something that we can grow on. Boothill Speedway, Bubba and Rollo, like they've taken this on as like a chore almost. And it's their job, but they've taken it on as extra initiative to be like, we are going to have something that this place is known for. By all means, is Boothill Speedway known for? You went through the list of all the announcers and all the history. When it was a long paper clip, then it got shortened and everything else. But Bubba and Rollo said that they're going to put their own staple and marker in Boothill Speedway, and by golly, they've done it. And I know that there's probably goals and aspirations. We had Bubba on here. He wants to go, he wants to go even farther with the promoting and all the other events and series that they can get on. But man, just to have this, and like you said, the turnout, dude, it's special. Man, like I'm blessed and fortunate. Come Saturday, I was over there helping my buddy Bags, but there's still something pretty cool when you show up. They do the prayer and national anthem and all that. And then you're sitting in the staging lane, and that first late model goes out there to qualify, and they're on the chip wide open around the cushion. And them race fans like get to experience that, dude. It's just it's something special. It's why we race. It's what we love about it. The gathering of friends, fast cars, big paychecks. What more could you ask for, my friend? What a night that Boothill Speedway had, and what a staple that we're going to build on this, because I 100% believe that this is something that will continue to grow. Like you said, we're already on the calendar for next year. If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does.
When the World of Outlaws officials and Steve Francis are literally fist pumping like after the race is over, you know that you did something pretty special. Like, and I even asked Steve, I said, "What'd you think of that one, Steve Francis?" And Bo and Rollo were standing right next to him, and he said, "They don't get a whole lot better than that." That's exactly what he said. He's like, they just don't get a whole lot better. They really don't. Like, I mean, the entire Cortland, that was the best super late model race I've ever watched that didn't have an official lead change. Like, I don't, there was not an official lead change. And that had to have been the best race I've ever seen that didn't have an official lead change. I mean, truly phenomenal. Man, I should have sent this to our producer, Cody Wooten, before the race. This is the video. I think I sent you this. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it on the mic, but this is a video from Saturday night. Josh Bell singing the anthem, and the crowd. Can you hear them?
Yeah.
You can hear the crowd singing that. And I know that that's going to happen when there's thousands of people in unison singing the Star Spangled Banner. They might, but I mean, for it to happen right here in our backyard in Greenwood, it was just special. I loved everything about it. It just made me happy. Anyway, we'll get off of that, how great and all that stuff it was. We'll get down to the nuts and bolts of the actual racing. So Friday night, of course, the limited modifieds along with the USRE factory stock, there was a support class. And man, they had a good showing this weekend too. Friday night they had a little few more cautions than we would have liked to see, but hey, you'll get that. It happens. Friday night, dude, Tim McCready. Everybody says everything's right in the world when Tim McCready wins a race. Well, let
Yes,
me tell you
sir.
something. Everything's right in the world when T-Mac wins a race in Greenwood, Louisiana, too. I'm here to tell you now. So T-Mac wins on Friday, and it was a good race too, right? Like
It
typically,
was.
if you put the 32 on the front row, you know what that means. Write the check. It
Snoozer.
means like, yeah.
Snoozer.
But here lately, since he swept Arrowhead, he hadn't been back to victor lane with the World of Outlaws since he won at Arrowhead. I know that wasn't entirely too long ago, but when 32 starts on the outside of the front row and the outside seems to be the preferred line, like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, Bobby, and especially because he's won. He won the Ronnie Adams Memorial at the start of last year. He's been good at Boothill. No, he didn't win the World of Outlaws show there last year, but he was good. Of course, Ryan won the feature there last year. But you're kind of wondering what would happen here. Well, dude, Tim McCready has really, really turned a corner. Only one win shy to tie his season record of 7 wins in a season with the Outlaws. He scored his 6th on Friday night. And dude, Tim McCready, I mean, aside from Boot Hill, he seems to have turned his corner, in this year since swapping back over to the Longhorn. But who on their bingo card had Tim McCready to win 5+ World of Outlaws races this year with Boom Briggs and the 9 team? I mean, or the 99 team. I don't know.
Nobody.
I mean,
We
listen,
talked about
but
this
then, but
last week. It was unexpected how good he's been in that machine.
But that's Tim McCready. Like, I think it's time, like, we got to start putting a little more respect on Tim McCready's name. After the race Friday, I walked down there and I was like, congrats, Tim, man. I mean, of course, I can't say thanks for racing with us. He's got to be there because he's a World of Outlaws driver, right? But
Yeah.
I asked him about this time that they went to Arklatex in 2014. I said, man, you remember running that Lucas race at Ark? He said, yeah, dude, hey, that's a badass race. But he said, but this one right here might be even better. That's exactly what he said to me down there in Victor Lane. And dude, that made me happy to hear that. But anyway, I'll throw it over to you, man. That was a really good race between Pierce and T-Mac. I meant to mention, though, getting into 1 and 2, I don't know how many laps were to go at that point of the race. But the way Bobby had been kind of running the racetrack, kind of dominating down the corner, T-Mac got a really good run down to the bottom of him. And Bobby tried to maybe shut the door, but man, he almost spun him getting into 1. T-Mac, being the top tier driver that he is, slowed down and let the 32 gather it back up and then got back up on his horse and raining down and past him. Like, if Bobby would have still won the race, it'd have been like, well, damn, but dude, Tim did everything he needed to do. He won that race fair and square on Friday night.
Yeah, and we talk about Tim winning it, dude. We had a restart with about 5 to or about 7 or 8 to go. I think it was lap 23 restarts, what I got wrote down. The 97 goes in there and throws a bomb, throws a slider into 1 and 2. Then all of a sudden, we're about 4 wide going into turn 3 with 7 to go, and you have no idea who's going to take the lead coming out of 4. And then Pierce and McCready get to racing. We have another restart with 5 to go, and it got sporty again. The 32 was throwing some sliders out there, and McCready he's just good, like he's just calculated in everything he does. And he has so much experience. And, he's one of the older guys in the sport now. But, I still envision the Tim McCready with the blonde tips and getting out and pounding the roof. And he still gets out and pounds the roof. You know what I mean? You just don't
Sweeteners
expect the
plus
dude to be.
T-Mac.
Yeah, the Sweeteners plus T-Mac
Yeah.
back in the Gap T-Mac, you know what I'm saying? But T-Mac's back, dude. I don't think he ever left. Like you said, put
Right.
some respect on his name. The dude has a World of Outlaws and a Lucas Oil Series title, and there's only 2 other drivers that can necessarily say that they got both, and that's Josh Richards and Scott Bloomquist, if my history serves me correct there. So when you're in the when your name is doing stuff that only Josh Richards and Bloomer's done, I mean you're pretty good, my friend. And the way he got around there, he just kind of, that top kind of got cleaned up, not necessarily rubbered up, but kind of cleaned up, and that's kind of where he wanted to be. And he was just really good. I mean, that 9 car, the old Barefoot Bob throwback scheme. I mean, he's just been smooth here lately. He's obviously found something in his package. Won last weekend, comes out Friday night, wins again. Was running good Saturday, had some contact get messed up, but dude. I mean, when like you said, when Tim McCready wins, dude, something's right in the dirt late model world. It always makes me happy just because his emotion when he gets out, when he wins, like he's one of the guys that when he gets out, he pounds the roof, he's slinging the real American beers, whatever it may be. But like he shows the passion of this stuff. Where I'm not saying a lot of guys don't, but some guys get out and it's just like another day. Well, T-Mac, no man, he's won a lot of races. The dude's won a World 100. He's won everything you can about imagine, and even on a Friday night in Greenwood, Louisiana, he's fired up about it. And that's what I love, dude. But T-Mac wins Friday, was probably undoubtedly the best car. You know, you drive, like you said, you put 32 on the front row and McCready drives around him. He had to hold off a bunch of guys with 2 restarts and under 10 to go. And the dude got the job done. Tim McCready won Friday at Boothill. The 32 was second. Got to give a shout out to Cody Overton. He was the one dude on that bottom. And my man was sneaky good around that bottom. He was hunting them skidder tires. You hear me? He was down there.
He's a goofball.
He said, we're not replacing right rear deck pieces. We're replacing left front floppers this weekend, friends, because he was hunting the bottom both nights. But yeah, Cody is a goofball, but dude, he's hilarious. Like he's a cool dude. Like there's no telling what you're going to get out of that cat sometimes. I've never necessarily hung out with him one-on-one or just spent a whole lot of time, but I've been in the pit area and been sitting there talking to some buddies, and he'll roll up and like this week, I'm sitting there talking to Colby Richmond, works for Cade, and he rolls up, and like all of a sudden they're just talking about the randomest thing ever. I'm like, dude, what goes through your head sometimes? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not right in the head neither. Like, I'm at Boothill Speedway at 12 o'clock. Like, I don't know what I'm doing neither, but none of us really do, I guess. I have no idea. But Cody Overton might be a little goofy, but the dude did wheel the crap out of the 2 car to 3rd place. And so I want to give a shout out to him on the Friday night run, dude. What a great first night to get the weekend started. You know, like that really propelled us to like, all right, what can we do come Saturday?
Yeah. What did he say in his post race, Cody Overton, on Friday? He said something about we looked like John Force coming off of turn 2, because he said something broke in the rear end and his car was like, wow. he was lifting that left front up like it looked like Trey Bean at Champion Park in 2001. That's what he looked like. Yeah, how about that for the throwback 115 for you today for the Deuce car? But anyway, yeah, Cody was man, he is goofy, but like, man, I'll be honest, like I've really kind of come to respect his driving, and like he is different, and I think that it takes all different shapes and sizes and different personalities to make this sport go. And I think, like, as I was making my way back up to the grandstands when Ashton's down there interviewing him, and when he made that comment, I was like 2 steps up from making my way up in the grandstands. And by the way, shout out to all the great Boothill Speedway fans. A ton of fans stayed both Friday and Saturday and watched our support classes, and I find that to be very important. Like, I know you guys came to see the late models, but we really appreciate the fact that you guys stayed and showed some of our local racers respect. And I'm not saying the people that left early showed them disrespect if they didn't stay. I get it. They came to watch the late models and they spent a nice ticket, good money for that ticket to do so. So I get it. But some of them also wanted to get the full bang for their buck and probably watch all the racing that we had to offer. But I was making my way back up to the stands there, and that's when Overton made this comment about like John Force. And I'm telling you, half of the stand, I mean, really the whole stands were laughing. They were laughing with him, not at him. They were laughing with him. And I think that's important to point out too. Like, there's some guys that get laughed at. They were laughing with him, which is very important to point out. But man, he is like, he knows how to get a crowd going. When you can talk and you can get the crowd going and you can back it up with your driving, people like that shit. People like that. Like, that's why they like Turbo so much, is because Turbo is goofy as all get out, and he'll say some stuff sometimes make you like, what the hell? You'll make you scratch. But like when he straps in, puts the 5-point harness on, head and neck restraint and helmet, and gets behind the wheel of that race car, he means business more oftentimes than not. And guys love different personalities that make up the sport, right? Like, that's what this racing's all about. So before we move entirely away from Friday, I did want to hit and we'll get into Saturday to talk about the support classes. Dalton Faulkner was leading the factory stock race on Friday night, broke a transmission. Justin Whitehead in the 36J car goes to victory lane. And of course, Derek Grigsby just got the broom out and swept the weekend. I mean, B-Mod, spoiler, no spoiler, 69 don't give a damn. He's headed to S&S Fishing and Rental victory lane by any means necessary.
That 69 car, dude. He's got something rolling right now. It's like you said, any means necessary. B mod, sport mod, no spoiler, with spoiler. I'm just gonna put it like this: if it don't have front fenders on it and it's at Boothill Speedway, put the Derek Grigsby in it and he'll win it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just It's been that kind of year, man. It's been really special, and it's gonna be one of these years. When you look back, I think we kind of maybe hit on this last week too. When you look back and you talk about racing legends, and he's going to be one of them at Boothill here in the next, I don't never hope he does quit racing, but when we go back to history, like, this is going to be one of them years that you look back and go, the dude won 18 some odd races in this car. He totals it out at his dad's memorial race, trying to race for the win, gets in this other car and still dominates just like he did. Yeah. Like, it's really incredible. what he's able to do. It really is. And people are going to say this, that, and the other, no matter what, dude, to go out and win as many races he had this year, that's no easy feat. That is no easy
Not.
feat. And then to go up and back it up this weekend racing with the B mods, and you got Cody Tupper and Boone Evans, two of the, I mean, I think when you're sitting there and you're ranking power rankings, I think the only other one Fast Phil Dixon was in there. He's been good all year in the B mod. And then, I mean, I think the only
Talon
one
wasn't there.
And Talon, yeah, I was going to say Talon wasn't there. I mean, but when you throw the 69 out there, and I think both nights he won by over 1.5 seconds, almost 2 seconds each night. Like, dude, like 69's on something special. Either Derek figured out how to just dominate, or my boy Paul has got something going on over there and the pit stall. And my boy Paul is slinging wrenches and adding some left rear bite, doing something special. Somebody just needs to get on the good side of Paul and figure out what's going on. It might be the shirt. I ain't going to say what the shirt was, but I think it made national television on Dirt Vision in Victory Lane. But if you want to see it, go see it, ladies and gentlemen.
So did the hot dog or the wiener. You know, did you see the wiener live on Dirt Vision? That dude was dressed up as a hot dog. You had to have been down there, and that was Ryan Gustin's.
Noah Bushman. That's Noah Bushman.
Noah.
Yeah.
Rubber Daddy.
Yeah. Yep, Rubber Daddy. Rubber Daddy turned into to Wiener Daddy, I guess. Rubber Daddy went to Wiener Daddy.
They did that because Bob's always wearing pink, and they got rid of stick signals. But apparently, you can dress up as a hot dog, and ain't nobody missing that shit. Like if you cruising down the front boulevard at about a bill 20, but if you look over, you see a hot dog with mustard throwing his hands up in there like, hey! You had no other choice but to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like Rubber Daddy's on deck this weekend.
I will say, the hot dog thing, that's just to stand out, because no matter how much bright stuff you put on, when you put 25 dudes in bright neon reflective stuff, now these guys that made that A feature, I promise you, they can more than likely pick out who their guy is. But if you just have to take a quick glance, like all of a sudden, hey, I'm halfway down the backstretch, I need to just take a quick look, you're not going to be able to recognize them. But like you said, I think they started that. I don't know if it was as a joke, whatever it may be. It 100% had to start out as a joke. But now it's like, all right, the hot dog suit works. I never miss you ever again going down the straightaway, bud. So Noah, I don't care if it's 110 or 10 degrees. You're gonna suit up, big dog. Go put the dog on and get it after it.
Absolutely, man. Pretty interesting. So let's get into Saturday night. Obviously, Ryan Gustin wins the $50,000. But man, the race, like we said, best race I've ever seen that didn't have an official lead change as far as the live timing and scoring and all that goes. But Brian Shirley in the 3S literally would drive the shit out of his Longhorn into 3 and 4 every single, was driving it just on the edge, just trying to get the advantage. I think he was trying to get enough momentum, maybe throw a slider on Gustin if he had ever got the clearance, but he'd drive it all the way up to Gustin's door off the exit. And he just never had enough mustard or momentum to slide him or to overtake him around the bottom. But the top and the bottom were pretty even keel. Like both lanes had a lot of speed in them. And man, Gustin, every time anybody threw anything at the 19R, Gustin repelled them. It was one of the, honestly, I've seen Ryan Gustin drive a lot of great races in his career. Like I remember him, we talked about this Saturday after the races. He's over there hanging out with us. He was talking to me about that Pelican 100 he come down here and ran. And he's like, dude, I remember coming down here running second to Ray Moore and Scott Bloomquist. Like he run the Lucas Oil race back April 5th of 2014. And he's always loved running in this area. That's something he said. He's like, dude, a lot of people bitch about the dirt around here. He's like, I like it. Like we've got it figured out, even back in the mod days, we had some pretty cool conversations Saturday night. We talked about the very first time he came to Vivian. This was in 2010. And the first time he came to Boothill, we were talking about this stuff. He won a couple of USMTS races at Boothill. And for him to be back in that Gressel Racing 19R theme, of course, he drives for Cooney Motorsports, but back in that theme in a tribute to Ed Gressel, like I said, Bobby Pierce eventually works the outside of the racetrack. He started 9th, and he kind of slowly but sure he worked his way up into the mix. T-Mac got turned around early in the race, broke a front end part on the 9 car, took him out of contention. But again, Shirley was right there throughout the duration of it. Dennis Erb Jr. had a hell of a run this weekend. Both nice. The Rocket XR2 was really rolling for the Carpentersville, Illinois driver in 28. But man, I sent Talon Willis a message. I was like, dude, 32 is going to be there by the end of this thing. I sent a couple, I was like, just the way he's driving, he was a couple tenths quicker than a lot of the field throughout the midpoint of that race. And man, he just committed to that top at the late going in the last restart. And man, he finally started to be able to get that run off of turn number 2. Dude, it was just I don't even know how to articulate. Like, you guys all saw it. You watched the race. If you haven't, you need to go back and watch the highlights. But man, it was truly a great race. Like, everything that we could have hoped that that race could have been for 70 laps. The track stayed good. It held up. And man, Pierce just builds up the momentum that we were thinking that he was going to be able to eventually build up. He finally got there, throws a missile into 1 and 2, clears him, and then drives another one 3-4. And dude, Gustin was just up to the task all night. Just hit the brakes and just drove right down underneath. That car was just so stuck, especially in 1 and 2. The 19R for Gustin was just stuck. He wasn't all the way up on the top, but he was rolling right through the slick, about a lane and a half up off the top. But man, that Infinity chassis was glued, and Ryan Gustin earned every bit of that 50,000 because he had the best late model driver in the world nipping at his heels, a la, Jonathan Davenport, Ricky Thorne, whoever you want to say. 32's up there. Let's just say it. 32 greatest race car driver and late models in 2025. You can at me. I don't give a shit. But 32 through the kitchen sink, and he came up a little bit short. And to see the respect and sportsmanship down there after the race, like Bobby said, hey, man, great run to Ryan. We got second. Hey, 20,000 for second ain't too bad either.
No, it ain't, dude. And you laid it out there perfectly, just the race between them two. But also don't sleep on it. I ain't gonna say I'm mad about it because it didn't affect my Monday by no means or what I got paid. But the 32 kind of got in there, got into Shirley there. So it might have been
Oh, yeah.
a 3-horse race for the lead. I ain't gonna say it shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shirley he went to the bottom of 3 and 4, like you said, was kind of driving hard and kind of slid out. Bobby had the run. He had done work that top and figured out what he needed to do to be fast up there, or either said it's go time. I think a couple guys, you don't want to necessarily use all your stuff up, and you go up there and you start obliterating the top no matter where you're at. You just don't want to get your tires hot just in case you need them later, XYZ, whatever it may be. But 32 starts railing, and Shirley kind of went out wide, and he was all the way up against the wall down the front stretch. And when he comes back down, 32 had a run and was underneath them, and they made contact, and the squirrel went around, and so not going to say it would have been a 3-horse race. Gustin obviously proved that he was better than Shirley for most of the race, but who's not to say that Shirley wasn't just saying, hey, Gustin, go ahead and pace this thing. As long as I can just keep you in my eyesight going what I need to do to pace myself, we'll be there. But so just want to throw that little bit in there that I think it might have been a 3-horse race. But either way, like you said, dude, what a phenomenal race. They were all over the track. And then when you come down, and I'll put it to you like this, when you have 70 laps of super late model action and you come down to the white flag, 1 to go, and we're door to door with 2 gassers like the 32 and the 19R, you're in for a show, friends. I mean, and it had been a show for 69 laps so far up to that point. But then Bobby goes in there, or Gustin goes in there, kind of halfway slides them, and then goes down the back stretch and slides himself again, dude. He run a heck of a last lap. Like he drove that last lap to perfection. The 19R did,
Yeah.
to make sure Bobby couldn't get a good enough run. But like you said, that Infinity was glued, man, and I think it's funny, Gustin kind of comes out of the race and says, we've been running bad. And, when you think about it this year for Gustin, he won at Cedar Lake. Okay. Big race, big time
100 grand.
event, crown jewel, wins that race. That's in the early August, then goes to the World 100 and runs 5th. Okay. So that's like, all right, a month, we win the USA Nationals, then we go 5th at the World 100. And then after that, we don't have a single run better than 10th. And probably I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and about 9 races. He doesn't run no better than 10th in a super late model. So you just come off of winning 100 grand, you run 5th at the World 100, and the best we can do is 10th for the next 9 races. If that doesn't tell you how tough this sport is, I don't know what does. And then the dude turns around, struggled on Friday, had to run a B main on Friday. I don't know if he had to use a provisional or not, but I'm pretty sure, I think he raced his way in because he won the B main. But anyway, had a rough night on Friday and turned around and put a whole night together like he did. And like you said, the most interesting race without a lead change. And Ryan Gustin led every single one of them. And I don't think he wanted to give up the lead. He didn't want nobody to pass him because it was his race to win. And he knew his stuff was good enough that he wasn't going to leave a doubt on the table. He wasn't going to let somebody go blow by him and say, I'll get him back later. He said, I was going to lead every lap. And that he did.
Funny?
The car was really good. What's up?
He told me after, well, I'm gonna say it's funny, but I mean, I know a lot of drivers go back to the notes, but he said they tried something different on Friday night and obviously it did not work. He said they've gotten away from the basics. He said they went exactly to what they ran last year when they won the race at Boothill. He said they went back to standard. They went back to what they won the race with, and here they are standing $50,000 richer. Sometimes your racers are your own worst critics and your own worst enemy. You'll dial yourself right out of the damn ballpark quick, fast, and in a damn hurry. I mean, the 19R went from the in-house or went from the outhouse back to the in-house on Saturday night. I mean, and dude, another note too, man. There were 3 different chassis manufacturers. I know we don't always talk about that, but I always find the chassis game interesting. But we had an Infinity out front was the winner, a Longhorn in second, and then of course Dennis Erb Jr. and his Rocket XR2. Of course, Cody Overton, a Longhorn fourth, and Brian Shirley Longhorn in fifth. So Longhorn, 3 out. I mean, yeah, 4 or 3 out of the top 5 there. So, but hey, man, Tanner English too had a good run. Advanced 11 positions. He finished up in 6th spot. And and back to that Shirley situation, a lot of people during the races it was going, I was getting messages and I was able to reply because I'm not announcing the late model portion of the race. But people are like, how's Brian or why is Bobby Pierce not going to the back? And why is Shirley still in 5th? And it's like, well, if you listen to Ruben Morellis, he would tell you that they have a blend rule. There's a blend rule in the world of Outlaws. I know some of you are hard of hearing and y'all have opinions about Ruben, but he's really a great guy and he's a hell of an announcer. Don't at me on that either. I don't give a shit what you have to say. But anyway, we say what we want around here. He's a good announcer. If you're saying that he's not, you're really just being overly critical. You're being overly critical of somebody who does a very good job at calling a race. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this a long time. Not saying I'm the one that holds the cars to say somebody's a better announcer than another guy. I'm not saying we have to compare. That's the issue with racing. Here I am getting off on a tangent, Cortland. But hey,
simmer down.
But that's the problem, and that's the problem with a lot of things. People like to compare people. Like, don't compare me to any. Like, please don't compare me to anybody that announces around here. I don't want to be compared to anybody, and I don't think they want to be compared to me either. And I think that they've made that pretty known. Like, can we just stop comparing people? We know Ruben Morellis isn't James Essex, and that's fine. Ruben's still a really, really good announcer, and if you're saying he's not, you're tripping. Like, you're not. You are literally choosing to be mean. And I'm tired of people being mean to people for no fucking reason. Anyway, sorry for dropping the F word too, but we're going to move on back to the task at hand.
Blend rule. Blend rule.
Yeah, the blend rule.
Blend rule.
Blend
for
rule.
those that don't know.
Yeah. For those that don't know, thank you, Cortland, very much for keeping me on track on this great podcast. He gets turned down there and won. So back to that deal, though. I don't know if you recall this, but Shirley actually hit the skidder tire in 3 and 4. It really messed up his momentum, and Bobby just got that screaming run off the top of 4. And dude, Bobby had no other choice but to dive down to the inside of him because Shirley lost so much momentum. I mean, you saw the left front flopper. Once you fold that flopper under on one of them dirt late models, dude, I am shocked that Shirley still finished 5th after that left front nose was folded under like it was. To still finish 5th like that when you know that car had to have been a handful. But so anyway, he nearly gets turned. The blend rule's in effect. So it's the leader plus 3. Obviously, he was in 2nd, so plus 3, that blends him back in the 5th spot. So that's the reason why Shirley retained, the running spot that he had there. He didn't have to go all the way to the tail. That's a World of Outlaws rule. And to be honest with you, man, I kind of like the rule because that wasn't anything intentional there on Bobby's behalf. Shirley made a little bit of a mistake there in 3 and 4. 32 tried to make him pay for it. And, man, real estate just got tight down there in 1 and 2. And it bees like that in big-time automobile racing, as you like to say.
It does be like that sometimes. It's one of them deals that they created because there's also a rule, and I don't know if it's national dirt late model deals, but they have a deal where if they deem a car as sideways and out of control, they're going to throw the caution. Well, in late model racing, it's not necessarily a fault rule. It's if you stop on the track, you go to the back. That's just kind of always been big time super late model racing. If you stop on the track, you go to the back. It don't matter if you got drove through by 1,500 people or you're the one that wrecked the dude. Just if you stop on the track, you go to the back. Well, then you had certain situations in the past, and I don't know exactly which one, but I know this came in effect in the past with RTJ at Fairbury at some point with the blend rule. This is kind of I was like one of the first scenarios that happened, and it's happened several other times. But, it is good because in that situation, if you're Shirley, he didn't stop on the track. He kept her going, and he blended in right where he would have been if that was, so it's one of them deals. Dang you do, dang you don't. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, well, I hate to tell you, you're not the one making the rules for the World of Outlaws, so you just better live on and live on it. It's really none of our business what it is. We just get to watch really good racing, and I'm not going to complain about that. But I don't know where I was going with that. We were just talking about the blend rule. I don't know.
We got off on a tangent.
I just went blank.
It happens, dude. It happens when the lights shine bright. Okay, that's when it happens to the best of us. Okay, hey, I know that you had your unbiased shoes off here, and I know that you're not. But like, dude, Morgan Bagley's your boy, and I know that.
Yeah, that's my homie.
You had to have been fired up, dude. We look up. Mo Bags is running around
6th at 1 point.
Sixth
He
at
was
one,
up to
dude. I'm
six.
like, Mo
Hey,
Bags. I'm gonna let
we
you take
passed the
over from right here. Mo
32.
Bags finished ninth. He finished ninth on Saturday, but my boy was up to sixth. 14M was rolling, and Cortland Smith had tires dialed in. Take it away.
Yeah, dude, super pumped up for my boy Mo. Friday night he goes up there and think he was third quick overall in his group qualifying. And if
Yep.
anybody knows Morgan, he'll sit there and they'll be the first one to tell you that qualifying, he just struggles at it. There's just no way around it. Qualified real good Friday, made it through the race. Actually, was the one that put Ryan Gustin in a B main, my man, on Friday night because Gustin run fifth to him in the heat race. But anyway, something happened on Friday in the feature, and then we get there Saturday, and I'm hanging out with him, and I go, man, I just want to tell you, good job. I said, I'm sure you heard this 100 times today, but man, good job last night. And he looked at me and said, nope, I ain't heard that once. I said, what are you talking about? He said, everybody, all they text me was, what happened? What happened to you? You was doing good. What happened? And I'm like, man, forget all them people. I like your boys here now. Like I'm back. We're back in action. The band's back together. Like we're gonna have fun tonight. And he said, well, thank you, bud. Like that's what I needed to hear, not what happened. Anyway, so we get to Saturday, go out there, qualify, run good, make it through the end of the feature. And dude, I was really pumped up for my boy Bags. I'm also gonna give a shout out to Beard, man. We're gonna talk about some local guys
Yeah,
that
he
ran
got
really
seventh.
good. Kyle Beard was on dig. He passed us late on a restart. We
Up
we wanted
19
to
spots,
preferred
Cortland.
up 19 spots. I think he took a
Yeah.
provisional to get in, started tail back of the field. But anyway, dude, we're sitting there, and the funniest part, you can ask anybody that was hanging around. Got a couple buddies and Natalie, and we're sitting there, and like before the feature, we're running around. I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm trying to get tires laid out because you can run a different right front, a different right rear, a different left rear. And I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm snooping in other people's pit area, looking at tires, seeing what they're bolting on. Oh yeah,
This is
it's a
awesome.
game, my friend. It's a full
Hell
on
yeah.
game. And so I'm snooping around, and I'm telling you, I have 8 tires and wheels laid out, and I don't know what I told my preference what I thought we needed to do, and then he told me get everything else ready. So I'm siping a tire and they're blowing the 10-minute horn, and I'm like I still don't know what we're going with. Anyway, we ended up going with the same tire compound that Dennis went with, and also what Beard went with, which was a right rear 3 and a left rear 2, which was the softer of the compounds. A lot of the other guys had a right rear 4 and a left rear 3. But we went with a softer tire and was kind of just knew that we were going to be married to that bottom to try to find that brown there. And my dude run a really good race, man. Also, Kyle Beard, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pump up my homie without also pumping up Kyle Beard, because the dude run top 10 each night with the World of Outlaws. And yeah, I was stoked, man. That was a really good weekend, man. That was fun. They kind of brought back on the road, even though it was only like a year ago when I was out there doing that stuff. But I will say, you watch 70 laps in the infield and you try to sit there and make circles, you'll get dizzy. Just a wise word of advice. I learned that a long time ago. But just a wise words. If you ever watch a race from the infield, so my view was obstructed a lot because I was standing in the infield, so I didn't necessarily get to watch a whole lot. I went back and watched the replay by all means, but dude, it was so awesome. I got the video. I'm not going to try to. Lord knows it ain't going to show, but dude, when they went green, I got a video coming down the back straightaway. And when 26 super late models come barreling down the backstretch of Boothill Speedway wide open, and they drive her off in the 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 on the gas, bruh, sign me up every day of the week, twice on Saturday, hit me back twice on Sunday too. I don't care what you say. Like that right there was cool, man. It was
awesome, dude.
But I guess to wrap it all up, really pumped up for my boy Bags. Yes, I did have some of the tires on dig there. We were running around a good bit, and really good weekend, man. It was a lot of fun to get back and kind of go back to tire guy Cortland essentially for the week for at least 12 hours.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, heartbreak for T-Mac on Saturday night. He even made a Facebook post that said there are no words. Like you could tell he was pretty dejected after his win on Friday because you knew that he had a lot of confidence going into Saturday. Then he qualifies well, wins his heat race. Like you thought that T-Mac could have potentially swept the weekend. Only he was off to a really hot start. A couple other notes too that I'd like to mention, dude. Spencer Hughes had a really good weekend. No, he didn't get the great result on Saturday to show for it, but he started up in the top 5. And that K3 car
He
that
was
Hughes
fast
drove
time
this
over.
weekend,
Yeah,
he was fast
it was
time
fast time
overall on
overall on
Saturday.
Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, 13.688, I think is what I recall. 13.6. Tim McCready made a comment. I saw an interview that a guy named Mid America Dirt made. He's a guy that comes around from Arrowheads area. He came down to Boot Hill, and if I would have known that the World of Outlaws actually allow outside people to do interviews, I would have been there doing interviews for RaceON. If I would have known that they are okay with people, I would have interviewed every driver in the pits. I just thought that it's a no bueno that if you're not a World of Outlaws, with the streaming company that
Yeah.
provides the race, I didn't think that you could touch. But anyway, I saw an interview with T Mac, and and the guy asked him, and you could tell the gentleman who was conducting the interviews wasn't very knowledgeable, which is sometimes good because sometimes it's better to ask people questions. If you know too much, sometimes you go into too much deep and you ask them things that you already know. Sometimes it's good to ask drivers just not knowing anything. So he asked him, he's like, T Mac, what do you think of this racetrack? He said, well, I'll send you the link later for you can watch it, but to explain to everybody who's listening, T-Mac said, and he said, I love coming to racetracks. He said, qualifying started off last night in the low 14s. He said, we went out for our heat races. We were running mid 15s. He said, in the feature, he said, we're running 16s and 17s. He said, in my eyes, in order to gauge a great racetrack is how much does it fall off? He's like, and not fall off where it's rubbered up. And he's like, no, I mean, like fall off where the track slicks up and it brings the driver and their talent back into the hands here. He said, we go to so many racetracks that are just so freaking hammered down that you can't separate with somebody because everybody's on the same shit and everybody's just out there just hammered down. It was really
Yeah.
interesting to hear, like, a guy that's been in the sport for so long that's so knowledgeable as Tim McCready, and it made me proud of the racetrack again too. Like, I just take,
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in that. Like, that's the most thing I take out of all of it. Like, I don't know that a whole lot of drivers left Boothill Speedway this weekend and had a negative impact from it or thought that, like, man, we'll never come back to this shithole again. I don't think there's one person that thought that, and I certainly don't feel like the fans thought that. I really, truly believe that the fans are already looking forward to next year, and that's the sign that you feel like you really hit a home run. I know we talked about that when we kicked off the podcast tonight, but as we wrap this long conversation about Boot Hill up, dude, we've had a 30,000 win factory stock race this year that was a barn burner. Dustin Hennigan wins it with a final lap pass of Ricky Ingles. We have a 50,000 win late model race that is contested down to the white flag lap with Bobby Pierce throwing a slider. Our two largest paying races this year have been contested down to the final whistle. Now, when you put out these kind of races, that's what you want. Like that, like when you sign up for it and you say, we're going to pay 30,000 for a factory stock race, we're going to pay 50,000 for the World of Outlaws. The whole time you're doing it, you're like, God, if we could just pray to the heavens, the dirt track gods, and we could just get a great race. And we got a great race. Apparently, Rollo and Bubba are living right. And dude, things couldn't be better. Things can't be any better in Greenwood right now, dude. We're so happy. By the way, Tomater and
Lightning
Lightning
McQueen.
McQueen will be at Boot Hill this weekend. Shout out Brian Bell. So bring your kids, bring your ex-wives, bring your brothers, sisters, aunts, brothers, cousins, sisters. I don't care. Just bring them to the racetrack, bring the kids to see them, and we're going to race out there at Boot Hill again on Saturday night. Not expecting as large of a crowd, but boy, that would be something. But man, hey, and oh, another note on Boot Hill, was completely shocked that Cade Dillard did not make the race on Saturday. I'm not getting on here to harp on him. I know that nobody knows more than Cade Dillard. I'm sure that he went home very dejected and sad on Saturday. I probably should have seen him. I usually would send him a text, whether he wins or he loses, just to catch up with him there. But man, I know that he had to have been pretty upset to not make the feature. Puts out the new, the Rockin' Dollar Ranch scheme, though he, to go from potentially throwing a slide job, taking the lead on Friday night to go to not making the race on Saturday. I honestly, I feel like he went out at a time when the track had really slowed down in speed. And man, you can get, that's another thing, like to the point that T-Mac made about the track falling off. You can also get kind of caught into it too if you don't go out early, Cortland. You know as well as I do, you work with a late model team. You know how important it is to go out early in qualifying if track has a lot of fall off. So can't say I was shocked that Cade missed the race, but I just know how bad that he wanted to perform, on Saturday night with the big bucks in his home state. So I hate that for him that thing didn't quite pan out for the 97.
Yeah, I'm sure that by no means was at the weekend that you wanted, but at the end of the day, it's one of them deals. Those guys race. He's been up and down the road, World of Outlaws, and that's racing. It's a 50,000 win super late model race with 42 cars there. There's going to be a lot of good cars load up before the feature race hits the track. And by all means, if you'd have told somebody or probably 90% of the people there, if you'd have told them the 97 wasn't going to make the feature, feature on Saturday that had told you that you're silly, and I probably would have told you that you're silly as well. But also, it just, you get behind qualifying. I don't know if he messed up his laps or something on qualifying. The track did slow down some, but if you're able to go out there and just kind of make speed, you'd still qualify halfway decent. I don't know if he messed up his laps in qualifying, but dude, when you get behind in qualifying, that just tells you how competitive this field really is. And when you got 42 guys vying for essentially 20, 22 spots, because the last two spots are going to be provisionals, it just, man, it really dwindles down, and you can't have nothing go wrong throughout the night. You can't slip up. You can't make a mistake, whether it's qualifying, heat race, or B main. Like, you have to be on your game from the drop of the green flag. And they got behind the 8-ball early, and you see it plenty of times as you get behind the 8-ball early. Just that's dirt late model racing, man. That stuff, that's just how competitive it is, and it's part of it. To hit on the track deal that you talked about slowing down, I didn't listen to the Mid America Dirt one, but I have listened to a McCready interview, and he talks about it, and he was just complaining because tracks don't fall off no more, so essentially you just go out there and qualify all night long. And then there's talking about how it slows down and gets in the hands of the guys that are, the drivers in the cars. Well, if you're just going out there qualifying all night long, if they farm the track up every single time right before late models go out there, well, then do you really even have to make any adjustments to your car if you qualified good? No, not really, so it just, that adds to that. And I love the transitions that Boothill Speedway went through as well. We talked about that feature, it had a top, a bottom, and you could even kind of sit there and circle the middle if you wanted to. There was never at one point in that race where you were like, you got to get up top or you're going to get past, or you got to get to the bottom or you're going to get past. Man, dude, that thing started off early. It was kind of more or less around the bottom. You kind of wanted to be there. But, dude, once we got about 20 laps in, if your car was good and you wanted to go somewhere, we talked about Boothill Speedway last week, a couple weeks ago, dude. If that's all a driver wants, is to know that if his car is good enough to pass somebody, he has a chance to go out there and pass them. And dude, you saw it. If you watch that feature, I know a lot of eyes were up front, but if you took from 5th on back to even 24th, dude, them guys were 2-3 wide all over the place. I know we're wrapping up Boothill, and I'm gonna wrap it up with that, dude. Just what an absolutely phenomenal weekend. Racetrack on point. Dirt super late models always on point. Sport classes on point. Bubba and Rollo, for some reason, like you said, I guess they've been living right. I don't know. I don't know what they got going on. I don't know what water they've been drinking, but they're doing something special at Boothill Speedway. That's
what it is.
That they do.
That's what it is. You want to talk about the separations and the preparation. Straight up. I mean, there's not a day that I talk to either one of them guys and Boothill Speedway is not on the top of their mind, or they're at the racetrack, or they're en route to the racetrack to do something there. Same thing with Tim Crawley. That dude eats, breathes, and sleeps 67 Speedway. I mean, there's not anything that you could tell Tim Crawley about that racetrack that he's not already aware of or he's working on. You know what I mean? Like, they take a ton of pride in it. And by the way, folks, if you got a couple of guys at the helm at a couple of our area racetracks that love and are passionate about racing, I'm going to do everything we can to keep them around and make them happy. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't get them kind of people, all former racers at that too, right? Like former drivers that know both the ins and outs of the sport, and they're still learning. Final thing on Boothill. I know we've said this a couple of times. Boy, we went on Boothill for a whole hour, but that's fine because I knew we were going to talk about it tonight. Honestly, I had no notes. The only thing I had in my notes, I sent you a picture of it. It said Boothill was amazing. That was all I had in my notes tonight. That was it.
That's all about Boothill right there, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know the prep work? That's a lot of numbers and a lot of notes, but it was all about Boothill.
That's right. Yeah, so what was I about to say? I got sidetracked there.
Did we get to the support classes on Saturday before we cut out?
Said Derek Grigsby pretty much been which I found was pretty interesting on Saturday, that Derek Grigsby won, but him and Cody Tupper both started on the front row. A driver with 18 wins on the year and Tupper with 19, representing the limiteds, representing the B-Mods. I wanted to see who was going to come out on top, and you know as well as I do, when that racetrack's slick like that and the 23 of Cody Tupper can roll right through the middle, and I thought he was going to be tough, but man, Derek Grigsby proved to be tougher to beat on Saturday night, as again 69 swept the weekend, and again Dalton Faulkner bounced back after breaking a transmission on Friday, and he won the factory stock feature on Saturday night. Did you have anything on that? I didn't know.
No, no,
Um,
I was just not, I didn't
yeah,
know. Maybe you said it earlier, like you said, we rammed them up Boothill for an hour. You kind of maybe you forget. I don't know, dude. I'm a goofy too. Like I'm goofy too. I'm a goofy goober. I don't know which one we tell you. I maybe forgot something as well. But anyway, I just make sure we hit that. Dalton Faulkner did come back after breaking the transmission on Friday and picked up the win on Saturday.
yeah, no doubt. Um, there was something else. There was one. Oh yeah, final thing. This is what I was really gonna say about it. I was talking to Bubba this week after the races, and I'd had a couple of interesting conversations with Steve Francis this week. I was a big Kentucky Colonel fan, and when he was a super late model driver, and now that he's an official. Of course, he was a Lucas Oil official there for a few years before he moved back over to the
Yep.
World of Outlaws. And man, he's really doing a fine job with it. Obviously, he's a former driver who's had success on and off the racetrack, and he knows the ins and outs of the sport. But one conversation I had with Bubba Jones this weekend that I found to be interesting was he said, "You know what, Zach? I mean, Bubba was just talking. Bubba's not really serious like all the time, but he's like, you know what's pretty cool." And I said, "What's that, Bubba?" And he said Steve Francis has called me 1 or 2 times, maybe 3 and 4 times a week over the last 7 months. He's called me every single week, especially after we have a race event here, and ask us, "Hey man, how'd the racetrack go tonight? How was the event, man? How's Boot Hills for an event or for a World of Outlaws, the director of the World of Outlaws." To check in with a racetrack, he knows that he's gonna be hitting later on in the year, just checking in just to see how things are going. Dude, that's, like, you can't really quantify that. Like, I don't think people realize how important that is just to get that reach out and to get that phone call from a guy like Steve Francis to say, "Hey, man, how's it going this week? How's it going? Like, is there anything I can do to help?" Like, Bubba told me that. He would offer, like, "Hey, man, is there anything I can do to help you guys?" Like, basically ensuring that by the time we get there, like, we know that it's gonna be buttoned up, but, like, to have those kind of conversations, he called Rollo too and have them same conversation. I just think that's really cool. And I know most of them do that, but, like, I know that a lot of them that don't. I know a lot of them that don't follow up the racetracks that they're going to attend. If you're gonna have a 50,000 win race, it's probably important to have a pretty good relationship with the person that's hosting the $50,000 race. That's just the point of it. And I tell you what, they got a pretty good relationship, and that is the key. And we'll have another 50,000 win next year. How about that? I know that this race couldn't have been as lucrative as the one is last year because the purse wasn't as much, right? I know that they probably didn't make as much money, but folks, in order to build something and to build something great, you got to take risks. And I'm telling you, you miss on all the shots that you don't take. And we talked about this early in the podcast. I'm telling you, it's a huge risk and a huge gamble to have an event like this. A lot of people don't understand how expensive it is to do this. And so, for the final time on this podcast, as we wrap up Boot Hill, please thank Bubba and Rollo Pilkington. Not kiss their ass, just thank them. Like, you don't have to kiss their ass, just thank them, because I promise you that they appreciate you telling them that you appreciate them. I promise you that they do, because they don't, like, we're not doing this to make money. Like, I promise you that this is more about pride and being proud of their racetrack. This is like, I mean, of course, no business wants to lose money, right, Cortland? Any business, I don't care
No.
what kind of operation, what kind of business you're in, nobody likes to lose money. I know the racetrack didn't lose money. I just know that they probably didn't make as much as they did last year, but it's not always about that. I think if they would have came out $5 to the good this week, they would have told you it would have been worth it when they looked up in the stands and saw all them people up there and see the great racing that we saw. Boot Hill delivered this weekend, man, and that's a wrap on the Greenwood Oval.
And the last thing I got to say on it, it's going to be a wrap. Thank you to the race fans as well. Thank
Yes.
you to the race fans. Yes, tell Bubba and Rollo thank you, but thank you to everybody that spent their hard-earned money and showed up this weekend, because without them, there's like this not going to happen. Like I think Gus even said in his interview, we're just going around in circles. Like we're just a bunch of random dudes that showed up and go around in circles. Thank you to the race fans. When I left at about Saturday morning, say 2:00 ish, bruh, campers out there in the parking lot, just a ton of stuff. I took a picture. It was my buddy Mark, if our wonderful producer Cody. Hey, he got it right on cue. My boy Cody was waiting on this. Y'all been talking about Boot Hill for an hour. Y'all got to get to this at some point. That's my buddy Mark. He drove 7.5 hours. It's 7 hours, like 45 minutes from Tuscumbia, Alabama. Marco, that's his little tent right there. He was camped out to the left of Randy Payne's shop. And if you've ever been to Boot Hill, you know who Randy Payne's shop is. But he was out there in that field, man. And that right there is the start to an event. When you got guys willing to drive 8 hours, and yeah, he came over here to see some of his buddies and whatnot. And essentially met each other through iRacing. But dude, we had that's something special. He's not driving 8 hours to come watch a regular Saturday night show or a comp cams race. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not a
Right.
shot to comp
No,
cams, but like,
no, no,
he's
no.
not showing up for a 5,000 to win super late model race. He drove 8 hours to watch a $50,000 to win super late model race. I'm sure there was plenty of other fans out there. Thank you, Cody, for that. I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Mark. But thank you, race fans. That's what I've all wanted to come down to was, of course, thank Bubba and
Yeah,
Rilo for putting an event on like
100%.
that. But people that are willing to show up for an event, thank you as well. On to the next thing, my man, Zach Clark.
No, I introduced Marco to Rollo and Bubba this weekend on Friday. I mean, we had a really good time, dude. I really enjoyed Marco being at the track. Kenny was out there too. Man, we had a really good time. Kenny was walking around with his shitty coolers backpack, or sheety cooler, whatever you call it. His sheety coolers backpack on, and he was two sheets to win on Saturday night, but he was enjoying himself, and that's what it's all about. Marco stumbled and bumbled himself back to his tent later on in the afternoon, but hey, my boy was still upright and he was having the time of his life, and that's what it's all about. And maybe we can make a trip up to North Alabama Speedway sometime in the future. Return the favor.
Uh,
That'd be pretty cool.
we just might have to. Just might have to.
Yeah, man, it was a great time. I saw a lot of familiar faces to me, but that aren't too familiar at the racetrack all the time. Like you said, come out for the big money. Like a bunch of really, really good people. We saw a lot of the Hot Lap Heroes gang that we race with on our. There was just a ton of great people there this weekend. So that's a wrap on the Boothill Speedway. 1 hour into this podcast, we hope you enjoyed the talk about it right there. Now what? Now what, Cortland? Now what? The High Limit Sprint Car Series concludes their championship season this weekend at the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track, all the while in Rossburg, Ohio. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series concludes their season championship, and we got a very, very tight points race going on at the Big E. Ryan Gustin left Boot Hill to go to Rossburg. Bobby Pierce
Turbo's
left
headed
Boot
up
Hill to go
there.
to
I know I
Rossburg.
talked to Todd
Dennis
that works for him. Turbo's headed up there too.
I'm sure Dennis Erb will be there as good as he's running right now. But dude, all eyes will be on the Big E.
Sheppy will be there in the one car. Hoffman will be there.
By the way, thank you, Brandon Shepherd, for showing up to Boot Hill this past week, and you didn't have to do that. I mean, he didn't have to bring the family car down here, but obviously he's money hungry. He likes $50,000. It didn't go his way, but shout out to Brandon Shepherd too. But man, what are your kind of thoughts as we get into Eldora talk this weekend? We moved from the World of Outlaws over the Lucas Oil Series now, but what are kind of your thoughts going in? Do you think Devin Moran can seal the deal and get it done?
My thoughts going into it, and I know we said we're done talking about Boot Hill. We're going to get to watch like 15 to 20 of the guys that just raced in Greenwood, Louisiana, race in Rossburg, Ohio. To me, that's just really cool. Like the guys that we always sit around and watch on TV and all the streaming platforms, we get to watch them in Rossburg, Ohio. And so as we head into that, like you said, we are a race for a championship here. Everybody has their own opinion about how we reset the format. I say we. I by no means have any doings in this whole ordeal, but everybody has their opinions about how the Lucas Oil resets their format for the chase for the championship. This year, they added the bonus points deal where if you win a race, you get bonus points going in, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Now we're here. We got one race left to go, the DTWC at Eldora Speedway, the Dirt Track World Championship, which itself pays $100,000, just the race. And then the points is 200,000 plus. But we roll in 99 Devin Moran is a 15-point lead over the 20 RT. The 49 is about 115 points back. He's going to need bad luck out of both cats ahead of him and really good luck on his part, essentially, to be in it, but never count the man out. Hudson O'Neal, sadly, has never been able to really recoup after just not a great start into the chase. That's all there is to it. It just hadn't been his chase for the championship. But as we head into Eldora, man, it's wide open. It is I feel like it's wide open between Devin Moran and 20 RT. Who are you going to take? You can sit there and say that 20 RT won the World 100 just a couple months ago, and he's going to be the number one contender. But, man, Devin Moran, it's funny, we're sitting there at the races, and a bunch of people are coming up, and we're talking just racing, and, we start talking about Lucas stuff. And I think now, after so many years, not that Devin Moran was ever not respected for what he's done behind the wheel of a race car, but I think now it's eye-opening to a lot of people like, hey, this is the second, third, fourth year in a row that this Devin Moran kid's top three in points and has a shot to win the championship. Like you can't sleep on this dude. Like don't do it, because I think I mentioned it last week. He's one lap away. Hudson O'Neal slides him through 3 and 4 2 years ago to win the championship. So now Moran's back in familiar territory to do it. Nothing's going to catch him by surprise. 20RT obviously won the championship last year. He can go right in there and do it again. I think we're as wide open as ever. But here's another thing to it: just the excitement of a 100,000 win super late model race, the point championship. I don't know. This is what I thought about today when I was writing down my notes, because the DTWC, they qualify and heat race on Friday, and then Saturday they run the B mains and the feature, Zach. Just imagine if you're Devin Moran or Ricky Thornton Jr. and you go out there Friday and you go out there and you don't qualify very good and you don't heat race very good, and then you got to go to sleep Friday night knowing like you're up against a challenge.
Yeah.
Or flip that around and you're Devin Moran and you're fast time and you win your heat race and you're starting on the pole of the DTWC. I know this guy right here. If I was Devin Moran, I couldn't sleep that night. I don't know if I could. I don't know if he would. Maybe he's a skilled professional and that's why he's on that level and my man's got ice in his veins. I don't know. But that's what I was sitting there thinking about when you say, going into this weekend. We've talked about it a little bit last week, and I just kind of ran down everything, gave a good little rundown there, add on anything you want to. But that's what I got. What are these guys going to be thinking after Friday night? Because you're gonna see how you've set yourself up come Saturday, and you got to go to sleep with it on your mind of like, oh Lord, I cannot have anything go wrong, or oh Lord, I'm in an uphill battle. Boys, buckle up. Like we got some work to do.
Man, honestly, I feel like Devin Moran performs his best when his back's against the wall. Every time I've ever seen him have to perform, he performs his best. And I think that's the sign of a true clutch racer. I mean, there's very few drivers that actually have that clutch gene. Bobby Pierce has it. Ricky Thornton has it. Davenport has it. Hudson O'Neal has it from time to time. And Devin Moran has really showed over these last couple of years that he has that clutch gene in him, that he could pull deep down from within and pull something out of his hat. And I tell you what, he's been really good on the prelim nights. He's never scored the big time Saturday night win at Eldora. But I'm telling you what, Devin performs as good as anybody is qualifying and preliminary racing at the Big E. So I feel like he might go to sleep feeling pretty good about himself on Friday night. And I think going into this, I think a lot of these drivers know kind of what to expect and what they're up against. And like they know that the race and the rest of the field, like in addition to this race paying $100,000 to win, dude, it's $250,000 for the championship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a $350,000 score if you can win both the race and the championship. We've seen drivers do it. That didn't happen. Did it not happen last year? Or was it the year before the driver didn't win the race? Oh, it was Shepard, right? Shepard won the race, but didn't win the championship.
Shepard
that was the one that was the one with Hudson slid. Yeah, Hudson slid Moran on the last lap, won him the championship that year. So, man, I mean, this thing could come down to the very final lap and the final whistle like it did just a couple of years ago, dude. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say Devin Moran's gonna win his first ever Lucas Oil title. He's gonna show up guns loaded this weekend at the Big E and show why his last name is so synonymous with racing in Eldora. I think he's gonna be ready to go.
If you were going to make me, I am gonna hit the James Essex on you there, my man. I'm sure we'll get a couple of them this weekend. But anyways, I picked him to win the World 100. Like you said, Moran, the name, he's going to put his own staple in it, because right now when you think of Moran and Eldora, all you think of is Donnie. And the only other way Devin had his chance to win the million and kind of one up Dad, he ain't gonna be able to one up him, but by golly, he's gonna have a pretty good little payday at Eldora when he wins the DTWC to win the Lucas Oil Championship and pick up that $350,000 payday. I'm with that as well. Not that 20RT ain't fast. We're sitting there taking Devin Moran. We're probably both gonna be wrong. Who knows? But it's just that time, man. And it's funny that, we kind of talked about it, and then you have a bunch of people, like I said, we're just sitting around the pit area and it just comes up in conversation, what about next weekend? And then, a lot of people have seen what Devin can do behind the wheel, and he's definitely won his fair share of races. He's not necessarily the one that gets out, and he's not the Tyler Erb. He's a really cool dude. But he's not the one that gets out and going to say something too outlandish. He's a really calm, cool, professional guy, likes to have a good time, but by all means, he's about to put his name forever in the record books at Eldora Speedway and get him one of the official crown jewels for himself, and not let old Big Donnie keep them all.
I wonder, I was just thinking about how much more money today that we race in the modern era in super late model racing. I would bet Devin's career earnings are probably more than what his dad was. With even considering his dad won $1 million to win race, I bet Devin, he's been in a super late model for over 10 years now. I bet his
Yeah.
career earnings are getting pretty close, if not better than what his dad's total career earnings were. I mean, for what it's worth. I mean, these guys are just racing for astronomical numbers now, and which is awesome. I mean, they deserve it, but I find that to be pretty interesting. Like $1 million back then isn't the same kind of $1 million that it is now. I mean, it still spins the same, but the number just feels a little bit different anyway when consider inflation and all those different things. So, but hey, $1 million is still $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And $350,000 is still $350,000 that hangs in the balance too this weekend at the
Yeah.
Big E. A couple of more things here, man. We've talked about all this national racing, of course. The Kubota High Limit Sprint Car Series, they actually go to Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track this weekend, but they go to Lucasville Speedway tomorrow night for the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series. So, hey, we got some racing to watch on a Wednesday night for the Diamond Dirt Tracks tomorrow night. Can't wait to watch that one. And then they go to TMS this weekend for their All-In Championship weekend. And the points, Rico Abreu has a 30-point lead over Brad Sweet. Brad Sweet hasn't ran a season in the last 6 years and hasn't done anything but win a championship. I think Rico's about to ready to change that. But hey, I've never counted out the 49 of Brad Sweet before, and I'd be dumb to count him out this weekend at TMS. But he has a 30-point lead. Brent Marks is third in points, but he's 181 back. This is really going to come down to Rico and Brad. And man, it's going to get kicked off of qualifying there on Friday. And I tell you what, I'm not going to count out the 49, but I feel like Rico's poised to. He's had a lot of big wins this year. He's had a lot of wins too, but some big wins. But Rico looks like he's about to win himself a high limit championship at TMS come Saturday night.
Retweet. That's all I got to say. My boy Rico is going to pick up a win. He's going to knock Brad Sweet off the pedestal of national tour champion. So blah, 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 whatever. Not that I'm a Brad Sweet hater by no means. I'm making it sound like I am. But no, Rico's he's essentially gonna go take that championship and then go hop in the TSR ride and say, "Catch you later, boys." And we're probably got a lot more
How'd you say he's gonna hop in the pond?
No. We haven't gotten to the silly goose yet, my friend. But
Okay.
no, my boy Rico Abreu is gonna win that high limit national championship, national touring championship, and he's gonna go hop in the TSR ride next year. And be interesting to see how that goes. That'd be very interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of sprint cars, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. The 38th annual Short Track National is going to be live on Flow Racing and live on RaceOn.com. So, folks, you ain't got to freak out and say, "Hey, is this RaceOn?" Yes, it's on RaceOn, and it's also on Flow for the people that are up, living up higher up in the United States of America. But for all of you people in the South, you can catch this race live on RaceOn, the official streaming weekly provider of the Texarkana 67 Speedway. Tim Schaefer, the Steel City Outlaw, he's booked. He's coming to Texarkana in a couple of weeks. Chase Randall's coming. Aaron Reitzel is coming to Texarkana. Blake Hahn, Sam Haferty Jr., Cody Gardner. Just naming a couple here, man. Like Howard Moore, Reese Moran, who's been really, really good at that racetrack. And hey, I'm not going to go on a limb and say he is, but your high limit 2025 sprint car champion might be there, which might end up being Rico Abreu. Remember, folks, there might be a few surprises. They're going to be at TMS this weekend. And the Short Track National is the next week at Texarkana. We may not come out and say that they're a confirmed entry, but I'm telling you what, folks, there might be some surprises roll through the pits in Mandeville, Arkansas next weekend for the Short Track Nationals. $20,000 to win for 410 sprint cars. Tim Crawley's fired up. I'm getting fired up about it. I'm excited. I'm getting ready to go. Are you coming to the Short Track Nationals? If you're not coming, I know you're watching live on RaceOn.
100% I'll be watching. Like I said, when we had Tim Crawley
You're a
on,
sprint car fan now.
My man's made me a sprint car fan, dude. Give me sprint cars at 67 Speedway and super late models at Boothill Speedway every single weekend, and Cortland will be a happy guy. That's all we need. I mean, how hard is it, Tim, Bubba, Rollo? Because everybody's gonna sit here and say, y'all making so much money, blah 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 blah. Just put national sprint cars at 67 every weekend and World of Outlaw late models at Boothill Speedway every weekend, and we'll be a happy camper right here, friend. It's that easy, right, Zach? Is it that easy?
It is that easy. Yeah, just
I wish it was, because it's really not that easy. Yeah, it's really not that easy, people. Go out and support the Short Track Nationals, 20,000 win 410 sprint cars. Like you said, those guys that do that, like, race for a living. So like you said, if they maybe not officially confirmed, but they race for a living and they're already down here, and if a bunch of them got to drive 18 or 19 hours back home, it makes sense to stay another 3 or 4 days to go run for 20K the next week. So
Yeah.
I know there's probably not, I know you can't confirm some of the dudes, but I promise you there'll probably be some few surprise entries rolling in that pit gate come Friday at the Short Track Nationals.
Hey, $20,000 is still $20,000, and $20,000 in the sprint car world is honestly
Yeah.
a little bit more lucrative than a super late model race, because it seems
Yep.
like there's a lot more 20s and 30s than there's ever been in super late model racing. There doesn't seem like there's a huge number. Now, there has been larger, like triple digit races this year, you know, with multiple zeros in them, like the Gold Cup in California. There's been several. I couldn't count them, but I think there's been in between 9 and 11 races that have paid over $75,000 or more this year on between the World of Outlaw sprint cars and the high limit sprint car series. In between the last time we were on here, the sprint car community lost Bobby Allen. I'm not sure. I know Dustin Gates watches this podcast. He's a sprint car driver. He's actually going to California to race with Cody Gardner this week, and then he'll be back at the Short Track Nationals in a couple weeks. But I was texting with him yesterday, and anyway, they're going to California to race, and I can't remember what we had said something about Bobby Allen, but man, they had a really cool race at Lincoln where he kind of grew up cutting his teeth there and had a lot of his old retro vintage cards out there, and people were sharing stories and stuff. And man, that Bobby Allen, you know, we seem to be more super late model guys over here, but like I've told y'all all year, I have watched more sprint cars these last couple of years than I ever have, and I truly enjoy 410 sprint car racing. I even like 360s too. But man, like, you get to kind of know Bobby Allen, you know, through the stories that everybody else has told. And all you can really come up with is like, man, what a badass, you know, like what a really cool dude that really helped pave the way. And to hear their story of shark racing and where it came from and to where it is now. I mean, Bobby Allen won the Knoxville Nationals past Sammy Swindell back in was it 80 or 83? It was 1980 or 83, but he won the race and he was an underdog. Like nobody expected him to win that race. And he pulled something from deep down from within to win the Knoxville Nationals. I know that race has emerged, you know, we know what the Nationals is now, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
still big back then. It's just to what it is now. But Bobby Allen's a former Knoxville Nationals winner, lost his life this last week, had a heart attack, and went to be with our good Lord there. And anyway, so rest in peace to Bobby Allen. I know it's been on the hearts of a lot of sprint car fans here lately, and that's about all I got on this one tonight, man. Man, your mom, I don't want to bring this up and make you, I mean, I don't, your mom shared a post
You're
today
good.
that I loved. I loved it. Your mom shared a post today about your dad, that this was the day that your dad had went to did she say, yeah, it was the day that he went to the
And
hospital to be treated for COVID. But man, the way
yeah.
her words were just so beautiful today, man. So if you see your mama anytime soon, please give her a hug for me, man, because she's beautiful. She's awesome. And those were beautiful words that she wrote today about your dad, man. I still, I mean, obviously, I missed your dad, dude, but I thought that was a really, really cool post that she made today in memory of Darty, man. That was good stuff to read.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Darty was cool, but you know, for every great man, there's a great woman behind them. And my mom is
Right.
she's one bad mama jamma. I'm gonna tell you like that. I don't cuss too much for my mama, you know. I still like
I get it.
my mama listens to the podcast, okay? So
I need to
I
be a little
can't
more
be
respectful to
cussing.
mine then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But anyway, no, yeah, so today would be the day that they will my boy Darty back there to the ER, and sadly during that time of COVID, you couldn't go back there, you know. And so by no means are we trying to spin this off. Thoughts and prayers
No,
out to the Allen family,
yeah.
100%. And yeah, so my mom's one bad mama jamma. Her post today definitely hit the hearts of a lot of people, man. Anytime, even though it's 5 years later, there's still, I mean, probably go look, there might be 60, 70 comments and 200, 300 likes on the thing. And so really cool, man. This is always a tough time of year right here, just because things start popping up. I had my Facebook memories pop up and stuff like that. So go
Man,
ahead.
I just wanted to say that the only reason why I brought this up is because it's important to me that we never forget him. Like that his memory
Yeah.
will never, like, we'll never forget him. That's just my whole point of bringing it up, is that, yeah, that right behind you is that, that anytime I can ever have an opportunity to mention your father in any kind of, which there's only ever been a positive light for me. There's nothing negative I could ever say about the seven of Darty Smith or your wonderful mom, man. Yeah, I just wanted to say that, dude. Anytime we can talk about him, we're going to do it here. That's just
Yeah.
how I feel. So. I just wanted to mention that,
I
man. Miss him. Love him.
I
Love you too.
I appreciate it. Oh, well, hey, we're all good in the neighborhood, man. Racing for
Yeah,
Darty,
well,
number
yeah,
7
boy,
right
saying
there.
we're all good in the neighborhood over here.
Neighborhood, like Applebee's, cuz. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
like Darty be mad at you if you was sad. You know what I mean? Like, be happy.
I know
Like,
it, man.
hey,
He would have been,
we're in
man.
having a good time.
No, he loved that. I think he had something to do with that late model race this past weekend being as great as it was.
I tell you this much, I ain't never told Bags this, and I'll go ahead and tell him on the podcast because he'll listen to it he'll get to it
Okay.
every time before he rolls out. I pump him twice on the chest, and I'm sure he's like he just double pumps me, but one's for me and one's for my boy Darty, and I never told him that, man. And you know, Dad never got to go. He always joked about how he was going to go on the road with Bags for a weekend or something, and you know, he never got to go, and lo and behold, I ended up working for Bags for 2 years and got to go, and still, you know, he's one of my best friends and whatnot. So, you know, it's funny, man. Racing's a funny world, and I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm starting to get emotional now, but yeah, dude, absolutely thrilled. Darty will live on forever, not because of me, just because he was a stud and my mama's one bad mamma jamma, my friend. That's how we're going to wrap this up. But I do, before we get out of here, I do have it wrote down to wrap it up, to officially wrap it up on the RaceON Clark After Dark with Zach and Cortland podcast here, my friend. Saturday night action at Boothill Speedway, correct? Just one day show. One can go ahead, get it on Saturday night action at Boothill Speedway. The Spooky 50 is at Super B. It's not a late model race. Kind of sad about it, but I understand they couldn't get necessarily no series to line up with it. They do have an ASCS Mid-South region or something. They do have sprint cars going to be at Super B. Hurricane area. Yep. Okay. I knew it was one of my, I didn't know Mid-South or Hurricane, but they do have ASCS Hurricane area sprint cars rolling in the Super B Speedway. The Texana Clash is at Texana Raceway Park this weekend. A lot of great places that are still racing. Go check them out. Go to their Facebook pages. It's funny how we say don't go to their websites. Go to their Facebook pages to look up everything. Yeah. You get all the info you need in the world from Facebook, my friend. But I know for sure those are 3 places that are raced this weekend. So go check them out. Go give them support. It's the end of the year. You know, this is kind of where a lot of places put their big shows towards the end of the year. And a lot of promoters will tell you, you know, the weekly racing maybe loses money or barely gets you by, and you hope to kind of recoup what you've lost throughout the year on some of these bigger shows. So for sure, like you said, all these guys that are doing this, by no means, they're doing it for the love and the passion of racing. But go ahead and give them some support. We're losing racetracks, or not at an extreme rate, but racetracks aren't just popping up every single day. So go out and support those guys for the last race of the year. I seen your finger go up. You got wonderful racing action all over the next couple of weeks, short track nationals, everything else. We'll be back next week to talk about all that. But go ahead, friend. We've rambled on. Yep. I feel like I've rambled on for a while. I done talked about why I double tap Bags and talked about Darty and the race Super B. We're all over the place, my friend.
Tune into this. People tune in for stuff like that. Actually, that people love that kind of stuff. That's what I like anyway. Yeah. West Virginia Motor Speedway stormed back to life after they cut the racetrack down. This is the last thing I want to talk about tonight. West Virginia Motor Speedway had 232 cars into the pit area this past weekend. Remember, this was a big, blazing fast half mile.
Huge.
And then we kind of saw that in our area with Lone Star Speedway, right? It was a big half mile. And all the tracks around here are 3/8 the quarter miles. And in order to go run at Lone Star when it was a half mile, guys had to change rear ends, change gears. And man, and with the car counts with everybody with this cooperative scheduling, everybody's trying to run all the same racetracks. It made it almost impossible to be able to change your race car over to go run at Lone Star on like a Saturday, you know, and then the next week turn around and go run at Boothill or Arclatech. And so they shortened it down to a 3/8 back in 2010. Well, West Virginia Motor Speedway ran into kind of the same problem, dude. They've hosted Lucas Oil races over the last 5 years when the track was a big blazing half mile. And man, they did about everything that you could imagine to try to make that racetrack successful. You know, they got the big hillside where the fans pile in with their, like, man, you can go have a nice picnic on the side of the hill at West Virginia Motor Speedway watching badass racing. Yeah. Let me tell you now. But dude, 232 cars on this new reconfigured configuration of this racetrack. It's down to a quarter mile. But dude, to have 232 cars in the pits, they had 70 super late models for $5,000 to win. Tyler Carpenter got the win over Fast Freddy, his daddy, Fast Freddy Carpenter. Tyler Carpenter won it on Saturday, and man, it looked like the racetrack raced really good. But 232 cars in 5 classes, dude. Shout out, props to them, dude, because that track has struggled, and the fans in that area absolutely love that place. We talk about racetracks going away and dying. West Virginia Motor Speedway came back to life, had 232 cars in the pits, had great racing. Shout out to them. That's really awesome stuff to hear. That's all I
Dude,
got.
and the way they shortened it and shaped it up, I haven't watched the video. I saw a few highlights, but man, the way they shortened that place up and shaped it up, dude, it looks like, I mean,
It does.
WVMS might be back, my friend. Like I'm not, maybe just because we're down here in our area, big tracks just aren't the biggest thing in the world. They're not, we know, like that's not cool down here, I guess you could say. Or I'm not necessarily a fan of the large tracks. Some people love them, some people don't. But the way they shortened that thing up, the way they got it shaped up, I saw a video. It was from somebody on top of the hillside. So really cool view, like you said, dude. I mean, that's a place that can create its own type of vibe. Just the the energy and the way everything's set up. It's almost kind of like Batesville-esque, up at Batesville when you get on top of the hillside up there and you look down and like you don't have to turn your head. You just sit. You're literally like kind of like sitting up and just looking, and the whole racetrack's in your view, and you don't have to move your head or nothing. So really cool place. Glad they had a great turnout. Hopefully it's a staple. I believe one national tour, whether it's Outlaws or Lucas, somebody's already scheduled. Somebody's scheduled to go there, I think, or unless I've got some insider source. I know I ain't got no insider source. It's somewhere out there that some late model tour is already on schedule to go there, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. I've done lost train of thought. I think that they're scheduled somewhere for WVMS, but West Virginia Motor Speedway is back, and I'm glad to see it. I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to race pretty well. The way they got it shaped up, the eye in the sky don't lie, my friend, is what I tell some of the players after Friday night. And when they say I blocked them, no, you didn't. Well, you know what? We'll watch it on film because the eye in the sky don't lie. Well, the eye in the sky that I saw, WVMS, good turnout. Looks like the racetrack's gonna be pretty good. Glad to see it back.
That's a wrap, buddy. The NLCS is going on right now. No, it's over. The Dodgers beat the Brewers. Now they're up 2-0. So that's a bummer there. We're hoping the Brewers could upset them anyway tonight. So maybe they can bounce back being down 2-0. The Cowboys and the Saints both lost this weekend, just to put a total bow on this. Sad deal there. But anyway, we'll look forward to greener pastures this week. It's been a tough go. But anyway, Dallas could get a defense. Dak Prescott out of Houghton, Louisiana, is playing his best ball of his career. And I'll tell you what, he's got to score 50 to win a game. It's pretty sad and pathetic right now. But anyway, better luck. Maybe they can get a little help soon. But if you tuned into this podcast tonight to hear us talk about something other than Boothill, I'm sorry about your luck. And also, please go support Boothill Speedway this weekend on Saturday night. If not, of course, Chatham, like Cortland said, they race this weekend. The Spooky 50 prestigious event's been going on in the state of Louisiana for over 20. I think this is the 27th annual Spooky 50. So y'all go support Chatham if you're able to this weekend, if you're on that side of town. And of course, all the national touring series we mentioned. So just go support a racetrack, do the best you can to do that. And we'll see you back here next Wednesday afternoon. Be blessed and be a blessing.
Later.